Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Bailey and I are doing a discussion over Fateforge Chronicles of Khan, the Clash of the Immortals expansion. This is the first expansion to Fateforge. It's not necessarily going to be talking about what our thoughts are on the game, although I'm curious a little bit on our overall thoughts after playing the full campaign. But we've done two discussions on Fateforge, the initial discussion, and then we've done our final after the first campaign. So this will be focusing mainly on the expansion. And I gotta be honest, I didn't really care for it.
I didn't like it as much. The first one was like, playing it the first time, really getting into it. Like, it was really great.
Yeah.
The expansion, it didn't offer a whole lot of choices until the very end.
Yeah.
It also was just read heavy. Like,
yes.
Very read heavy.
It felt, here's my actual problem with the expansion. And it's basically a standalone story. Yeah. And I feel like it would have been better if it was, hey, like when you're setting up the campaign, it goes, do you have the Clash of the Immortals campaign? Yes. And it integrates that stuff into the main campaign.
Yeah.
Because once you finish the main campaign and realize the expansion is kind of the side thing, it doesn't have as much weight to it. The first one, where our decisions felt like they mattered because it was for the entire campaign of the three arcs. This one was like, you have two choices, but it's mainly combat heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one's all combat heavy, but you're mainly just going through this, and then you finish it, and you're like, oh, wait, I guess that's that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any bearing on the overall story.
No.
I mean, it does, I guess, because
a little bit.
The story does continue. You're still in the world, but it was like, hey, we're done stopping the big bad from gaining more immortality, and then we go home, and it's just, all right, there's a new big bad thing. Go out and
stop it.
And stop that.
So it feels like almost that. What were I supposed to use? From the first main series, our things don't carry over.
Yeah.
So like we could have done so much more, like if it all carried over. So like it feels like our actions in the first one didn't have any consequences in this one.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of times, normally when you do like DLC or something, or you carry over like in video games, it will be like, what decisions did you make, and that will affect the narrative.
Yeah.
Here it was as if nothing we did in the first one was even mentioned here. I mean, well, that's also kind of the problem about this expansion, because it's supposed to be narrative driven and choice driven, and it is, but clearly this expansion was like railroaded.
Oh, heavily.
And the major decisions of the main campaign are static. They are what they are, because we just kind of, it tells us what happened, and it's like, yeah, I guess we did make those decisions, but it didn't ask us what decisions we made. It would have been cool if it asked us what decisions we made over key big moments. Yeah. And that kind of changes the narrative in this one, but it didn't.
Or almost take like a save file and just push it over. It almost is like, I've seen like in like some games, like there are sequels, and they're just like, oh, you did make these choices and you did do these things, but honestly, that wasn't what the generic story was supposed to be. Yeah. And they just made a generic story happen for the second.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of sucks, because this one was just so, like, we got to pick different characters, which acted as if we were the characters that were in the first one. Yeah. But we weren't. And I think with it saying it was going to be more difficult, and the way we started out, we got to just pick. We had so much money to spend on upgrades that could be level 1 or 2. It just felt like, oh, we can pick level 2 right off rip, that we were busted from the get-go. Yeah. And that didn't really have any challenge or any agency, again, because in the main campaign, you have to level up and you have to eventually unlock your level 2. And money was tight. Here, like, we had so much money.
At the end of the game, it didn't matter.
That doesn't matter because we're not. It doesn't scale to number of players. So we just had. I mean, yeah, this would be amazing if we had 2 other players and everyone was buying 5 or 6 cost upgrades. But I think with it being a smaller side campaign that's a standalone, I felt as if I just didn't really care about anything that was actually happening because I knew it wasn't continuing to anything else.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, the core system of the game is still great. Like, it added some new elements. I like the henchman.
The henchman was great. Because it added new items.
Yep, new items.
There's the ones that we had that were pretty good.
Yeah, there's still this many decisions.
Yeah.
Like, left over. So you're still making some decisions. There's new items, new
one new player.
The new character, the Enchantress, which is awesome. Like, super cool. Like, a different way of support, which is really cool. Like, basically being a disruptor and fucking over with messing with the that's the build I went was I need you to protect me and you're gonna be doing the damage, but I'm gonna try and mitigate what the enemies are doing, which is really cool. And then I thought the riding mechanism was neat.
That was a pretty good one.
And then the pin down, while annoying, I thought it was a good system because it's like it sucks
because then they have someone else who has beatdown and they specifically attack that person. So
right.
Even though you could have been the one pinned down, and even though I could have gone first and not been pinned down, it would have skipped over me and went right to you.
Right. They was like, get him! It's like, oh jeez. Which it's like it hurts. That sucks. So it as an expansion, it's nice that it wasn't this whole new rule set.
Yeah.
Like, if you knew Fateforge, you could just jump right into the expansion and play and test out different characters. But again, I would have pretty much rather have had like a whole new box of another major campaign besides a side story.
Yeah.
If it wasn't going to integrate this into the main game, then I would have much rather just had a whole new campaign where you pick different characters and you go and you level up as you would, instead of just doing this quick one-shot almost.
And see, I think maybe if encounters were a little bit tougher, like, because we had 2 towards the end that were like, oh, these were like pretty good. I mean, we still end up doing it. We had we were both really low on health when we left, and then the other one, everything was just spread out far enough and we didn't really get the rolls to move as far.
Right.
But the like, if every encounter was like that, maybe adding 1 or 2 more people, because there's like the extermination bonus the entire time, which is great. It kind of gives us more the idea to you do need to kill everything, but it's not mandatory.
It's weird, though. That's the one thing I don't really like about that, because the game is designed around quick, fast combat.
Yeah.
So you're not coming across enemies that have 10 health. You're not. It's not like a slugfest to try and kill everyone. So you're pretty much able to kill everyone all the time. So you're just flooded with money, and you only have 2 rest scenes. And once you kind of get your items, you're set. So it's like, what am I spending money on? Just buy all the food.
Yeah, like, we went through and we were just like, we have abundance of them. We're just like, fuck, we own all the food. Like, we could have spent, what is that, like 30?
Yeah,
30,
5, 10, 3, 6, 9, 12, 22. Yeah, 26. We have 26 money left.
We could have got 26 food.
Right.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily ever really a challenge. Not that the base game was much of a challenge anyway, but at least it felt as if we were kind of leveling up with the rest of
we got better with everything.
Yeah.
Because sometimes in that first set, like, there were some of those encounters. Towards the end, we were like, ooh, this is tough.
Yeah. I think what the biggest misstep, honestly, is for this expansion is that it didn't integrate it into the main campaign.
Yeah.
And I think that would have made it a lot more fun. Like, it may, if the decisions you made now, instead of being like, hey, you now have the catacombs, that was at the big finale at the end of that one. You can either do that one or you can do this one. Like there's the Wailing Arc as well as the, I don't remember what it was called in the base game. But if you had to make those two big decisions on what you actually thought was the lesser of two evils, and that branches off into, I know they're doing another expansion, but if their expansion is basically be another one of these, that doesn't really sound too exciting.
The only thing I would go through and say with that expansion is if you end up getting it, we go through and find one or two more people to actually try to sit and play through it. Would be the only other thing that I would suggest to really feel what a 4-player scenario felt like.
If we couldn't get to it, I can't imagine. I mean, this game doesn't seem like it would be too difficult to two-hand it.
No.
But yes, I think. I mean, the game is perfectly fine at 2, but I would like to see how the game scales with more people.
Because if we had the same amount of people like in this fight we did, with 4 people, we'd
it would be steamroll it. Yeah, I really hope it isn't like that. I can't imagine it is, but I technically don't know. I feel completely underwhelmed on the narrative. Just the storytelling was like, oh, you go here, now you go all the way over here, now you go here, now you go here. And the expansion is called Clash of the Immortals, and the Immortals are way over there.
Yeah, like nowhere near.
We got some vision from our tree, and it's like, hey, go deal with that. And we're told of the Illcrawl and that Lich amassing armies, and they're trying to become immortal, and which would be bad for all the people caught in the middle. And that's interesting, but we have no direct hand really until the very, very end.
And it's not even like the main thing we were going for. It's not like both of the Immortals were there to go for it. It was only the Illcrawl that was trying to get it.
Yeah, he shows up and he's like, hey, you can give it to me. But the problem again with that is, let's say we said yes. Because this expansion story does connect to the main story.
Yeah.
But it's like, let's say here you go. Here's the Wailing Arc. Okay, well then, we didn't kill him. We didn't stop him. So if they're doing another expansion that I would assume continues the story, well, this expansion didn't ask us what decisions we made, so why would the next one?
Yeah.
So why even have any decisions if it's not actually going to carry over and you feel the impact? Unless they're doing kind of what they did, where it's like, hey, here's what you did, and here's that Sandlot epilogue where it kind of does snippets. Hey, you gave it, so this is what he did, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. I feel like in a narrative-driven campaign with expansions, your decisions should have weight throughout the whole story, not just, anyway, here's the true ending.
Yeah. I don't like the true ending things whenever they're going between game to expansions.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of like, whatever. Like, if I was to play Fateforge again, I almost wouldn't touch the expansion.
No.
Ever. Because why? I mean, there's really no point.
There's zero reason. Even if we were going to go through and be like, okay, I replay the Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And like if I chose to play Hunter on this one, I would have had to reset everything that I had anyway.
Yeah.
So like, why not play a different character?
Right. Yeah, play a different character, or play the same character but try a different build. There's tons of, the upgrades are still amazing. And different items. And you technically can make some different decisions. Like, we could have turned against Morgan Sue, we could have turned against Lazia, we could have go full evil. And it does a quick snippet, but the impact just doesn't feel as good as it does if you were doing that in the main campaign. Mm-hmm. If you made an evil decision in Act 1, you're going to suffer those repercussions later. Versus here, you're not. So there's just no rhyme or reason to play this expansion when you have the base game you can just play through.
Yeah.
So I feel like they missed the mark on this expansion. I'm hoping that, because they've announced another one, I haven't looked too much into it, I hope it's another big box.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be upset if it was another Clash of the Immortals expansion, where it just comes out and you get one more character and a few more cards. I feel like that would be pretty lame. But
so almost just make it itself into its own game.
Yeah, another like Fateforge. Hey,
be...
it's another. I mean, even if they did the exact same thing they did with this one, and it was big box 3-act campaign, and then they did another side story. I mean, at least you could do the. I don't know. The side stories just make no sense.
No. It's almost like this couldn't have happened, and we still would have been okay.
Yeah.
Like it took us fucking almost a whole year to, in story wise, it took us a whole year to get here.
Yeah.
And it's like in that time, like a lot of stuff should have gone down.
Right. It's very confusing. Like the more I keep thinking on it, that this just felt so
rushed and kind of thrown together.
Yeah. Yeah. That and pointless because it's just none of your decisions mattered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it felt like they just didn't. I don't know why they made this. I don't know why this expansion was made. If you normally, it's all just in the main story.
I mean, I get the idea of wanting to continue your world and continue your storyline.
Yeah,
but like, at least make it flow together and like either continue the first way you did it, or like they could have made the exact same like as like the base set, but only done like half of the length.
Yeah.
And like kept it that way and done it like that.
What's kind of interesting is the Clash of the Immortals idea that feels so much bigger of a concept than just a 1-act, expansion.
Yeah.
That would have been such a cool continuation in a big box.
Yeah, and
like if you did 3 acts of that, where as you're going through, because we're Fateforge, you have this one. It introduces the world. It introduces who we are, kind of what we're doing. We're sucked into the conflict based off the decisions we made in the first one, and now we're having to either work with rebels who are caught in the middle ground of this massive war, or we are being confronted. If this was a 3-act major campaign, you're constantly being interacted with by the Lich and by the Illcrawl, and you have to make major decisions on who you help and who you hurt, and that ramps itself to the decisions of a major thing. And here, that major thing is just so off of whatever over there. We're gonna go ride a dragon, and for no reason, ride the dragon. He gets shot down, and then that was fun, I guess. And now, we just felt like we're so insignificant. And they're like, you're the Fateforge. All the destiny is in your hands. Is it? I felt like we really didn't have a hand. Yeah, I understand that the Wailing Arc is this massive army annihilating, item. But we had to basically travel and just, for some reason, just go to a bunch of different places. We had to go somewhere with someone. Like, hey, the dragon can take you there. No, he can't. Hey, now you need to go to the city. To find this guy. Oh, nope, he's not there. Now you have to go save him. And then you can either turn him away or he can guide you there. And then you find the giants and they're just like, alright, go there. There it is.
Yeah, it wasn't even like an actual... Like, there was nothing going on.
We were just handheld the entire time.
It's just that railroad scenario of just like, you're going to keep on moving here. And granted, we did have some issues with the map from the first one. Yeah. But at the same time, like, it didn't feel as railroaded. Like, it gave us the illusion of we can go anywhere. Yeah. But at the same time, you're not really going anywhere.
No, but I mean, if you're going to railroad, like, the players on a story, at least give them meaningful decisions so you have branching paths. I don't need to be able to look at a map and be like, wow, there's 60 locations. I can see any of them. If you give the illusion of choice, that it's like, hey, you actually are still on rails, but I can still make decisions, that's perfectly fine. But it has to all go towards the main arcing story that they're clearly trying to tell.
Yeah, it's someone trying to become a proper immortal and control the world. Yeah. And there's someone else who's doing that exact same thing.
Yeah, and we are destined characters that are meant to stop that. And that's all cool. The setting is still really interesting. I don't mind this as a more world-building exercise. It just, from a gameplay perspective, if you're going to do the campaign, don't even touch this. There's literally no point because everything you're doing you just okay, well we're done. Pack all this up.
I could also see this being a prequel to lead up into that.
Yeah.
That could also be a small scenario. But like they very much hint at the other things that we've done.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you guys have already done these kind of things. Here you go. This is good for you.
Mm-hmm.
So like, obviously it's not. But like, I could see this being a small prequel, and then you go to the main game.
Yeah, that would have been better. Unless, I mean, here's something, and I haven't looked into the. I mean, I can't remember when it's going on Kickstarter. Potentially, this is because they have some of this in some other campaigns that I have. I haven't done it yet, but there's a game called Animal Trespass Odyssey that is 5 major cycles, and they did a kind of print and play mini campaign that is kind of in between the first and second cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So what would make this better, and this expansion would only be good to great in my eyes, is if their next Kickstarter is a big box and this is the mini campaign bridge between 2 boxes.
Okay.
So you do this one, then you play this, and this is kind of what leads you. It kind of connects the first game, the first big campaign, to the next one.
Okay. I mean, kind of.
Then I play this. So
kind of keeping your player base enthralled while you're still waiting to put the big one out.
Yeah, or when they're all out, you play this, and then it's because then maybe if you play the second campaign, but there's a bunch of stuff they're mentioning, Wailing Ark and all the characters, and you might be confused. It's like, well, there's a bridge mini campaign, the Clash of the Immortals expansion, that connects both these major campaigns, and maybe the decisions you make in this actually do carry over into that.
Yeah.
So it would be one full complete thing versus just kind of having you rehash a bunch of stuff in the second campaign. You would know, oh, I remember doing that in the Clash of the Immortals expansion, but there's just a bunch of Fateforged. The 5 characters are all Fateforged, and you could play. You don't have to carry them over.
Yeah.
I would prefer to play as one character and build them up over the course of a massive
multiple things.
But at the same time, like, the game is meant to be super quick, so like it's still nice for the bite-sized chunk of we got to see our builds fleshed out with the noble and the
Hunter, Archer,
Ranger guy.
Yeah.
And then in here we got to see kind of a build of the mercenary and the enchantress because we got to quickly level up. And the next campaign, we pick 2 new characters. Maybe they come out with 4 more or something.
Yeah.
It would be because I want more content. I think this game is fantastic.
Yeah, I love the world. I love the. Maybe not.
Well, I wouldn't say I love the world.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, maybe not entirely. I like the system. I like the setup of the.
I like the setting, and the Eastern Asian or Middle Eastern theming is really good. The gameplay is still super solid. I think that with the new expansion, if it is a bigger box 3-act campaign, I think that they can improve on some stuff. I think one should have a difficulty setting. Scale better for 2 players. I understand they wanted to make it. It's designed to be quick, but I think giving players the option on making it harder or easier would be fun. I think they should go a little bit more into the mercenary stuff. Was cool. I like the new keywords pinned down and all that.
Yeah.
I think including more of that. God, give narration. You've designed an app. Make someone read it.
Yeah.
Because I would at least be able to hear the weird nonsense fucking words and kind of try and imagine it versus me reading it and it's just word salad. Just bullshit that I'm just saying that I'm like, this means nothing. So I think they have a chance to, and none of that would really be that difficult. It's not like they have to redesign the game.
No.
You can just improve upon it and add voice acting to your app that you've already made.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, maybe rest scenes I think should have some more time.
More time, more options of stuff to do. Like,
yeah.
Granted, like...
In this one, there were only 2 rest scenes, and they were fucking useless. Like, the
really.
2 ones where it was tied around the Enchantress.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It'd be neat if every character potentially had their own personal side quests.
Mm-hmm.
But they made this whole big hoopla about the heart of, what was it? Heart of Takanaku or whatever?
Tamanaka?
Yeah. And we get it. Well, the first one was a fight.
I didn't use it.
I know. First one was a fight, and the second one was a puzzle. It was
a
super
puzzle.
easy. Yeah. And then you get it, and it's like, oh.
Oh, it's not in... Like, I would seem like maybe if it was like, oh, you also do more damage, or something like that. Because it's the whole idea is like, they become bloodthirsty.
Yeah.
It's not I suffer a damage and recover 2 stamina.
Right, and the problem is you get... And I get it, why that would probably come to me. It's because a lot of my stuff costs stamina.
Yeah.
So I could hurt myself to get all that stamina back. But the problem is we got that, and there were two fights left.
Yeah.
So one of the fights was, again, super quick, and then the other one was the boss fight. And because we know there wasn't anything connecting, it's... Alright, well, either we win or lose against the boss, and it's telling us, oh, hey, draw a corruption. Why?
Yeah, why?
Nothing carries over. I'm not taking the corruption. It doesn't really matter if we go down.
I will say they did one thing in this and like during the map setup stuff that I absolutely loved, and that was when they had the archers up above.
Yeah.
And they could actually hit anywhere on the map.
Yes.
I really did like that aesthetic.
Yes. Yeah, that was probably one of the more creative boss systems or fighting scenarios because besides positioning of where the enemies are, that was the one time where we had to worry about where we were going because we could just get hit from anywhere. I think they can also improve upon that more because eventually it does get stale. It's like you just run somewhere and you can just hit them at any given point. And so you want to make this like movement and stuff actually impactful. So, I mean, I have faith in them. I think they can do it.
Yeah. Oh, they also added a boulder?
Yeah, the rolling boulder. Yeah. That was cool.
I wish it went down the center of it instead of just that one small random spot.
Right. It's funny. I was wondering why that was there, too, when I set it up. I'm like, a narrow corridor with a chest. There's no enemies there. And it was neat. Like, there were a lot of ones where we had to make decisions on which doors to open. And kind of we could like split up.
I chose the wrong door.
You chose every time.
My bad.
But I think that they could easily improve upon it. So I'm just really hoping that the next expansion that they've already announced is a big box, and the Clash of the Immortals is just a bridge between the two campaigns.
Yeah, they'd be pretty good.
If it's not, there's no need to play. Like there is literally no reason to play the Clash of the Immortals expansion if it does not connect to the other.
To anything else.
Yeah, if the next expansion that they have announced is a side Clash of the Immortals expansion, that is the biggest waste of time that you can do. Just play Fateforge, the main campaign again. You want to play as different characters? The campaign's quick.
Play it again.
Play the campaign again as different characters. Make the same decisions if you want. But the scenarios are going to play differently because you have different characters. Make different decisions. There's a ton of story cards in the
main game.
In the main game, there are 48
and
different
we probably got 12 or 13 of them.
Something like that.
Yeah, going through it. So there's tons of different combinations to be played.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I still had fun. That's the thing. It's like it's super shitty because it's like I don't really like this expansion, but
I didn't have a bad time.
I really like the system, and it's still quick. Like you can finish out the expansion in pretty much a day if you set a whole day aside to play it. The writing system was also cool.
The writing, yeah. I liked having the enemy.
Yeah, because I mentioned the fast, but it was the enemies riding something and how they could actually ride off the board, and you had to use range to be able to get to them. The boss, he was just a big monster.
He wasn't. He wasn't overwhelming.
No, he actually. I kind of liked how he was a berserker, like where he would randomly go into different.
Randomly choose the area.
Yeah, that was nice. I feel like the bosses are... I mean, I've gone down against them. Out of all the 4 bosses that we fought, because that's all are in the game, I don't mind the fact that every act leads up to one big boss.
No, I don't either.
I thought he was lame. I thought he was
Yeah, compared to the other ones.
Even the mage who summoned roots and ran.
Yeah.
He was still trying to escape though, and I felt that was more exhilarating because it's like if we get stuck here, then he's just gonna keep running.
Yeah. His main thing was like he was gonna knock down these little pillars.
Yeah.
But like he didn't do it once.
None of the abilities that he popped off pushed anyone out, and the only one that would have pushed anyone out, he was randomly moving somewhere.
Yeah.
And if it was a 3 or a 4, he would have pushed everyone out, and we would have taken damage. But he ran up there, so it just didn't happen. I mean, his big thing was that he had someone controlling him, and we had to deal with him, and he had 4 armor, which is the most armor we've seen.
And he did attack and stun, which is pretty heavy.
Yes, move, attack, then stun, which sucks. So, out of all the bosses, he was the weakest, which doesn't surprise me because this is the weakest expansion to a campaign game I've ever seen. So, yeah, potentially this could be great if the new expansion or whatever they've announced is a big campaign, and if it's not, then this is lame as hell.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the Clash of the Immortals expansion?
The expansion itself, maybe a 5.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Maybe a 5 because it wasn't. It was a pretty neutral time. Like if you just gave me this and said play this game, but without me playing the beginning, I would have been like, probably not.
Right.
Like it's cool, but not that cool. But playing that and then moving the whole thing in here, knowing this is just an offset.
Yeah.
An expansion isn't the actual game. Makes it a little bit nicer knowing that there is an actual bigger set game.
See, that's actually interesting because I'm reversed. I think if I had never played the base game and the campaign, if I just thought this was it, I would have just thought it was a one-off, just adventure with some decisions, and I would have actually enjoyed this more.
Really?
Knowing there's a campaign that your decisions matter, and then this doesn't carry over any of that. Is actually worse. Just because I'm expecting more from it.
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
If I was just playing this, I'm not expecting much. But I'm expecting a lot more, and it's just here, and it is just whatever. But because the systems are there, they add a little bit more to it. They get a little bit more creative. It came with this. It's not like I bought it separately. It kind of came. And again, props to them because the expansion actually fits in the core box. They accommodated it, like all the cards fit in this, everything fits in the core box, so it's just that. That's awesome. But yeah, it's a 5 because my problems are with the reasoning for the expansion, not with the game itself. Like the game itself is still a blast, and they improved upon it. So, but it's a 5 as an expansion. But what did we give Fateforge? Did we give it like an 8?
I think we gave it like an
8 or a 9.
Yeah.
So
pretty high.
If this truly is a bridge to the next expansion, then I could see this. This would probably bump up to like a 7 for me because there would be a rhyme and a reason for its existence.
Okay.
As of right now, there's not.
There is not.
But even then, it's not going up to an 8 or a 9 because I actually find the story completely lackluster.
The story is a little lackluster. There's nothing to really draw me into the story.
Yeah.
Maybe I would get drawn in if there was voice acting. Like, that might be a thing.
I would get drawn in if the next thing, again, this all hinges on their next thing being a big campaign, if it actually cares about the decisions we made.
Yeah.
If it asks, hey, before you start this campaign, what did you do with the Wailing Arc? What did you do with Lazia? What did you do with Morgan Sue? If it asks for all those big... Because at the very end of this, it literally mentioned what happened with the Illcrawl, what happened with Morgan Sue, and what happened with Lazia.
It did that with this one, the base set as well.
Did it?
Yeah, it gave us viewpoints of like, hey, this person did this person does this.
Cool.
So it gave us that viewpoint.
Yeah. So if it asks for those and we say, okay, well, we buried the Wailing Arc, we saved Lazia, we sided with Morgan Sue, so that in the next one it takes all that stuff into consideration, then I would... If I was going through the whole campaign again, I would play this because that would be different decisions that are impactful in the next big one. But that remains to be seen. As of right now, I will never play this again.
Yeah.
But I'll play the base campaign again. So I don't know if you can even buy this separate. If you can, avoid it. I wouldn't say get it. But if it just comes when you buy Fateforge, then I guess it's there if you just want to do more.
Now, the only reason why I would go through and suggest buying this set is if for the character.
The Enchantress.
In playing it in the first.
I guess that's true.
That'd be my only thing that I would say that would be the best, because she's a really good support character.
She is. Yeah, she was a ton of fun to play and completely different of any type of support character I've played, where, yeah, she saves up tokens that you can pull in to do abilities. And actually, one of her cards, which would have been great in like a 4-player game, is one of her ability cards is she can actually hand tokens to other people.
Yeah.
To use for their abilities. I never took that one because you didn't use tokens for anything. So I was like, well, that doesn't work here, but it could work somewhere else. So I'm eagerly waiting I'll probably look it up, be like, okay, what are they doing? What's the next expansion? Because I'm pretty sure they have it as like a preview. I don't know yet. But that remains to be seen. Bailey, you got anything else?
That's about it.
All right, cool. All right, well, that is our thoughts on the Fateforge Clash of the Immortals expansion. Let us know what you think of it in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.